Hello, everybody, and welcome back to M&J Games. I am Michael, and welcome to episode 11. Now, a couple small things I started working on before doing the intro to the video is I got a suggestion. Now, I'm filming this as episode 5 was just released. By Jazz K, I think if I remember that correctly, that said that this chairlift is a little bit too high. And I looked and checked. I compared it to the one at Cedar Point. And you were correct because the one at Cedar Point is about 93 feet off the ground, and this one was at 128. So I moved it down one notch, and it's at 104. So it's still a little bit higher, but I didn't want to shorten the track length pieces because that would have messed up the placement of the supports and stuff like that. Also, would have messed up how many supports there are. So that was the first thing. My second thing is I'm basically going to be working on here today. And we'll kind of see what else we get working on. But I was trying to get an idea of, okay, how do I want kind of this area to look? And I decided to kind of continue with the foliage, but do a different fencing. So, you got the fence put back a little bit. You get all sorts of bushes and different stuff. But you still get views of the whole coaster, right? So if we head around this way, then this fencing is going to continue. I think I'm going to do the same fencing still, but then I need to bring over this kind of curb. The curb's going to stop there. And then if we look over here, I've just started kind of making the queue and making some of these little roof coverings for the queue, which I like how that's turned out so far. Colors might change because that's a pretty dull coloring. But it's just kind of getting started with this. And yeah, so as you can see, obviously not too much done yet, but that is going to change. So let's look at the next update. Quick update here as I've getting started. I'm just getting flip cam mode so we can kind of get a good in-person visual of what this is looking like. So I was trying to figure out what I really wanted to do with this coaster area, and one thing I've added now is this fencing. And with this fencing, my idea was it's not as many pieces as some other custom fencing ideas, but also gives you a cool visual of being able to kind of see through the glass a bit and stuff like that. And I don't know if I'm going to continue that all the way around at this point, but I definitely like it for this spot. And you can have some trees, some different bushes. One thing I'm really doing here is trying to make a big effort of having a lot of foliage and different foliage. And so we can see kind of the layout here. And oh, that was perfect. Love the flyover. So I'm still trying to figure out how I want this to kind of work. And do I want to continue the heavy foliage in this area of it? The answer is probably not, because there's a lot more supports in that area, and I don't want to custom support stuff, so we'll see. But then down here, as you can see, I've kind of created this back kind of wall or fence for kind of blocking off the back of the park. And if we go up here to the exit, you'll be able to actually see over this fence and this wall. And there's the backstage road. And the reason for this is essentially what we have here is we're going to have this kind of lowered transfer track area where the actual coaster is going to fly by. As I was trying to figure out now if we kind of get out of that flip cone mode. Oh, and I got this idea for having some, which I got to put the let's see if this looks good, because I realized looking underneath it, you can kind of see the gaps. So I just want to check and see if this would work. Yeah, that looks good. Yeah, so I got this idea from Astro King. Oh gosh, is it 808, I believe? and I've done some of his coaster spotlights before, so you need to make sure and go check those out on the channel because he does a really good job with building these custom coasters. But he also has started doing some of these, kind of custom coverings and stuff. And so I just kind of got the idea from him. And if you're down here, you're gonna be able to see the coaster. Obviously, I need to fence it off and stuff. And sorry if my voice sounds different. I've been in a theme park basically the past 2 days, so a lot of a lot of kind of yelling and screaming going on there. So yeah, this is what I've got so far. And before I kind of build up the building for this transfer track, I need to kind of figure out what do I want this station to look like. So I'm going to try to get some ideas for that, and I'll see you at the next update. Quick update now, as I've been working on essentially the backstage area because nothing has changed here and here, but now we have our station. It's definitely mixing of the different colors with the wood, but I don't necessarily mind that in this instance. I do need to put fencing around. I just totally realized, or I can't speak. I totally forgot about that, so that will get done. Um, but yeah, I'm happy with how it looks so far. And then we have the backstage area right here. And so I just added some wires and stuff, and I saw a couple people who started doing this, kind of adding some cable boxes there, something here. Coaster Creations made this for the coaster over here, the dive coaster. So I just copied that and took it over because I definitely like that. And yeah, so this is just a quick kind of short update on how the transfer track's coming along because the next update will be the final one. And I was trying to think of what to do here. And I just decided to kind of give it this kind of cool look. I did this previously in a park about a year ago, Avery Forest. Probably just going to do a couple basic stuff here, not too much just because of piece count stuff, as you can see, up to 89%. But another thing I was thinking about is trying to think about the final layout. And so I'll probably have kind of a more kids section in this spot, probably with some kids rides, maybe a flat ride or a track ride, but no coaster. And then have a GCI kind of wooden coaster back here. And I kind of played around with it a little bit. I could do a small scale kind of new Vekoma invert coaster right here, whether it's the family variety or the what are they called? Instead of SLC, STC, I think is the new name. But I could be totally wrong on that because I'm kind of blanking there. But I think I could fit something in there, and then we can kind of have some buildings and stuff along the back in this spot. But I don't know if that's for sure yet. So that'll probably be next episode that I'll kind of get that idea going. But yeah, as you can see, we're at 89%. And I have, yeah, so this is how the transfer track looks. And I replaced some of this fencing over here just with this wooden fence. They'll then connect to the chain link fence. So I think it gives a good view from the guest perspective because it really hides the view of that to where you can't really see through it. So the only spot where you can see beyond the back is right here. And even here, I mean, if you're the guest, you really can't see too much other than a little look at the transfer track, which is fine. Sometimes you can't totally hide it, but oh man, that view looks awesome. That's a really cool shot of the Intamin, and then that obviously that Eiffel Tower in the background. And so I do think this looks cool though with how the coaster kind of flies through this area and then comes down through here. So I think that's a pretty cool look. Let's see where the coaster's at. Oh, there it is. All right. But yeah, so now we're going to continue building, and the next update will be the final update of the episode. So here we are at the end of the episode, and we're starting out here just because I wanted us to get another good view of the sight line and what the guests would see entering the park. As you can see, the power tower, you can see the dive coaster by Coaster Creations, and we see the Top Thrill style coaster over there. And I just realized I still haven't taken off that sign that that Tall Guy Gaming put in last episode. But this is perfect timing to see the coaster drop down the first drop, that Intamin. It's about 175 feet, I believe, so not quite a hyper. But I didn't want to make it too large of a coaster because Yes, there is a lot on the skyline here, but technically, these coasters are not massive compared to their real life counterparts. It's like that dive coaster is very. Oops! Oh no! 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 Hey, when this happens, we're already stuck on the roof. There we go. So let's hop back into Flip Cam. There we go. Now, I am happy with how this has turned out. I haven't really done anything around the area for this. I've kind of maybe laid out some pathing the way I think might work. I just kind of wanted to get done with all the foliage and everything around this coaster. And so now here is the view. I know we've seen this part before, but a lot of the view that you get here. So you can either go to the right and go up the Eiffel Tower and go to what the other rides that will be to the right side, or we can continue around this way. Now, one other thing that I need to mention is Jazz K, I think that's how you pronounce the name, recommended that I lower the height of the whatchamacallit a little bit. And I didn't think it was actually that tall or an unrealistic amount. But then I looked at the Cedar Point one. The Cedar Point one's only 94 feet off the ground, and mine was about 128. So I lowered it one kind of step, and so it's about 104 feet off the ground now, which makes it a little bit more realistic. So I thank you for pointing that out. So basically, you just have a lot of foliage in this area. As I showed before, we now kind of have this whole back portion is kind of finished. So we have fencing in the back and stuff like that. But there's the coaster exit. A lot of kind of foliage and plants and stuff. But I love this view right here that you get of that first drop and then the Eiffel Tower just right in between. So I think that is a really, really cool look. So now let's head over to the other side and walk up the entrance, and then we will take a ride on the coaster. So one thing I have added here is I've copied the lockers over. And I don't know if this is going to be the exact placement for them, but I do want to put some more buildings and food shops and stuff like that around here. I just don't quite know the exact layout of how this is going to work yet. And I don't have a name yet for this coaster, at least as of filming this. That might change by the time that this episode is actually released, as I am recording this as episode 6 was just released, so I like to stay a little bit ahead. I mean, this is episode 11, I believe, but so now I've kind of carried the fencing and stuff around. So as we head in this spot, which I do need, there's a couple areas that I do need to continue the fencing that honestly I just totally forgot about, like right here. But I like the views that you get. Like you can see the coaster flying by this way. If you're waiting over here in line, I mean, you can see a little bit of the drop and stuff. So you're getting views of the coaster without necessarily seeing the whole layout and stuff. So we head around this way. And as you can see, we've got this whole area here kind of, I try to place down foliage just to cover up some of the terrain that I couldn't quite get how I wanted it and stuff. And then now here is the station. So I put the little, since there's 4 to a row, put the little dots on the ground. And we'll pretend like this is a Cedar Fair park where they're only allowing the amount of people in the station that actually can get on the next train, which I love that they do that. Let's see. So then from this view, we can actually see if it'll actually let us. There we go. Walk out here. So we've got the little, like I talked about. I copied that from what Coaster Creations did earlier. The coaster flies through. This is not a fun. Does not work as well as it does on some of the other coaster things. So let's hop out of flip cam mode. And here's what it looks like from an aerial point of view. As overall, I'm really happy with how this turned out. There's a couple areas that probably could have been better with the layout and stuff, but overall, I am happy with it because I had to fit something in this kind of small, confined space, and I am happy with that. So, like you can see here, kind of placing foliage and stuff to try to cover up the. Let me just show you. So this is kind of what it looked like before, and I didn't want it like this, and so I just think that looks ugly and bad. So I was like, okay, how can I kind of add some stuff here that makes it kind of hides that look to it? And so I deleted the flooring that was down here and just decided to make it kind of a flat, level terrain, which, by the way, need to lower these down now that I have actually lowered this. Um, and yeah, so I've kind of changed that part up a little bit. But yeah, so here is the aerial view. So like I said, now we have the full kind of right side of this whole midway done. And another area where I kind of got the idea for a coaster looking like this, it's not the exact same type, but I'm trying to remember the guy's name. But the guy who made the Cedar Dominion Park on PC had an Intamin Megalite coaster. So using the Invincible coasters, but kind of had it running along the side of the path. And I thought that was just a really, really cool look, as it kind of reminds me a little bit of Raptor, that kind of style. Not necessarily the same coaster type, but in terms of just how it runs down the midway. But yeah, so that is the episode, and we're going to end by taking a ride on the coaster. But first, let's look at stats. Everything's all green. G-forces, like I said, vertical G-forces a little bit higher. It's definitely these turnarounds. I was trying to make it, but just with how kind of narrow they are, that definitely adds to the G-forces a little bit. 157-foot drop, 68 miles per hour. Track length, 3,700 feet. So 6 airtime hills. And let's go ahead and finish this episode. Wow, I can't speak. Let's go ahead and finish the episode by taking a ride on the coaster. And thank you guys so much for watching. And I will see you next time.